and welcome to my channel. My name is Rose Writes and I write and narrate Miraculous Ladybug fan fiction. Thank you so much to ChocoLuck Chipz for allowing me to use their amazing artwork in my thumbnail. Their info will be linked below if you'd like to check them out. They deserve all of the love. They are incredibly talented. Thank you so much for joining me for day 14 of Adrienette April. I really hope you're enjoying it so far. So without further ado, please enjoy Adrienette April, Day 14, Old Fashioned. How do I look, Plag? Adrien stared at himself in the mirror, standing in a pose akin to Superman. His usually messy blonde hair was slicked back so tightly it gave him a facelift. He wore a neatly fitted navy blue suit tailored to perfection. His tie, tucked beneath his suit jacket, appeared plain black. Nothing special, but in fact was imported from Italy. Everything had to be perfect. Plag floated around Adrien in a few circles like a shark stalking its prey.
You don't look like yourself.
Adrien's eyes were glued to his reflection, trying to see what Plag was talking about. In a good way, or...
No!
Plag said bluntly. The Kwame looked at Adrien's hair, inspecting a few strands before rapidly running his paws through the matted down helmet. Adrien batted Plag away, looking disapprovingly.
Plag!
Adrien moved a hand through his hair, no longer stuck in place, but hanging around his face. It took me like 20 minutes to do my hair. Adrien tried to smooth his jagged hair back into place with no avail.
Kid, stop trying too hard. Everything is going to be fine.
Plag waved a paw dismissively, going back to his normal ways of searching for stinky cheese. I hope so, Plag, Adrien said mostly to himself, taking one last look at himself before making the short walk to Marinette's house. He took a deep breath standing at her door, the day turning into dusk, the streetlights flickering to life. Adrien rapped on the door 3 times, only for the door to shortly fling open. Adrien, my boy! Tom Dupin wrapped Adrien in his bear-like arms. While Mr. Dupin was honestly one of the nicest men around, Adrien couldn't help feeling intimidated by his stature. He craned his neck upwards just to look Marinette's father in the eyes. How tall was this man? Adrien stood at just 6 feet. After the giant's embrace, Adrien straightened his tie, saying, Hello, Mr. Dupin! He placed a hand on the back of his neck, rubbing it as he often did when he felt nervous. I'd like to ask you something, if I may. Oh, sure. Follow me. Marinette is still getting ready. Adrien followed the man up a flight of stairs, taking them 2 at a time just to keep up with Tom. They sat at a neatly decorated table with fresh-cut sunflowers, Marinette's favorite flower, placed in the center. So, what did you want to talk about, son? Mr. Dupin said as he poured himself and Adrien a drink. Just... He pulled at his collar, allowing some air to pass, suddenly feeling overheated. I wanted to tell you how much I love your daughter. Tom nodded enthusiastically. I know you do. She talks about how much she loves you all the time. He spoke fondly. Adrien smiled in return. He loved Marinette fiercely. With everything in his being, he loved her, and he wanted to do everything in his power to make her happy for the rest of their lives. Sir, that being said, I wanted to ask for your blessing to marry Marinette. Adrien waited with bated breath. Did people still ask for the parents' blessing anymore? He wasn't sure, but he valued Mr. Dupin so much he couldn't imagine not asking. He knew how much Marinette loved her parents and valued their opinion. Adrien, he started. A lump formed in Adrien's throat as he sat on the edge of his seat, literally and metaphorically. You've been such a blessing in Marinette's life and our entire family's life, that I would be proud to welcome you into the family. Adrien felt his eyes well up with tears. His hand shot out, grabbing the father's hand, shaking it with excitement. "Thank you, sir! Thank you!" Tom took Adrienne's hand in his two club-like hands, speaking earnestly. "No, call me Dad." Adrienne beamed at his new father figure. This was a totally different dad experience than with him and his father. This felt warm and comfortable. Adrienne's eyes darted to the stairs as he heard the trap door of Marinette's room close. She walked down the stairs, cascading perfectly as her burgundy dress trailed behind her. His lady, the beauty in red. The small smile she wore filled him with effervescence, as she nearly floated until the last step when she tripped, nearly face-planting. Luckily, Adrienne had been moving her way in time to catch her by the waist before she fell. She laughed it off. "I guess that's why I never wear heels." Adrienne smiled at her tenderly, kissing the top of her hand. "We should go. I made reservations at your favorite restaurant." "You're the best," she said, ecstatic. "Bye, Papa." She ran to give her father a hug, nearly tripping again. He chuckled heartily, sounding a bit like Santa Claus. "Have a good night, sweetie." "Ready to go?" she said, grabbing a fancy jacket from inside the coat closet. "Always, princess." They exchanged a smile at the inside pun that only they would recognize. She giggled, dragging him down the stairs, then outside, walking closely together, hand in hand. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave me a comment. If you don't know what to comment, say Tom's blessing. And as always, stay miraculous.